Hey there, friends. We're going to try this again because the computer shut down on me when I was trying to get it, and so now I'm trying to get it right. Hello. So good to see you this morning. I hope that you are having a great start to your Monday. I am excited to be here with you. We are going to be talking about the down and dirty of decluttering. So I am so excited. I am Leanna George, professional organizer and owner of By George Organizing Solutions. And so I have noticed that there's been a lot of chatter going around on social media and on the internet about clutter lately, talking about conquering the clutter, climbing out from underneath it, and I think it's great. I think it's awesome that it's a topic that people are wanting to know more about, and I think it's great that there are resources out there to help you to do that, to get over the clutter. But even though we talk about how to conquer it and how to get over it, we kind of need to look at the root of the problem first. And so that's why I want to talk about decluttering, the down and dirty of decluttering today. I want to talk about like 4 things with you about decluttering. I want to talk about why we need to, why we don't do it, why our efforts when we do it aren't working, and then what are some tools that can really help you to get the job done. So I'm not going to try to talk too long because I want you to be able to, I want you to be able to get to some decluttering. Hopefully you'll feel inspired and encouraged after this talk so you can get to it. But first I want to talk to you about what is clutter. How would you define clutter? So I looked it up in the dictionary, and according to several different versions that I looked at, clutter is defined as a confused mess, a disorderly heap, or a state of confusion, or a crowd of mess. So I'm not going to ask you, do you have any of that description in your house? I'm sure most of us do somewhere. I know I have a clutter of jewelry in my closet, so don't think that you're out there alone without anybody else to understand what you're going through. And as a matter of fact, I'd love for you in the comments to tell me what are your biggest struggles with your clutter and where do you need to declutter. Leave a comment, whether you're live or on the replay, and let me know what are some of your issues with clutter. But that's what clutter is. Basically, it's just, it's what's keeping us from what we really want to enjoy most in life. That's what clutter is. If you really wanted to get down to the nitty-gritty, it's what's keeping us from the things that matter most. So why do we need to declutter? Well, obviously, it's going to be less stressful, less overwhelming, less mess, more peace of mind, more time, all those things that come with getting organized. But I also want you to think about a few other things about your clutter. What if your clutter could be a blessing to somebody else? What if the things that you are no longer needing, using, or wanting could benefit or help somebody else? Whether you donate to Goodwill or you donate it to a family member, holding on to that clutter is causing you to be miserable, but it could be a joy and a help to somebody else. So that was one reason why I want to encourage people to think about decluttering beyond just the mess and the stress and the things that it causes you, but think about how it can be more helpful to somebody else. I also want to think that, if we get rid of the mess and we can live with less, wouldn't that be great? Why do we need to have so much, right? I read a statistic that said that an average house, an average household, just average household, contains 300,000 items. And so that's average. If you've got clutter, you've got even more than that. That's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of stuff to maintain. That's a lot of stuff to keep up with. That's a lot of stuff to move around. And that can be very difficult, very overwhelming. So, why don't we see if we can learn to get rid of the mess and live with less? So I just made that up a few days ago, and I thought that's kind of fun sounding to say. So, why not use it? So that's what I want to encourage you about, to try to get rid of the mess and live with less. Okay? The other reason why we need to get rid of, hello there, Suzette. I'm excited that you're here. I'm so happy you're joining me live. you can imagine what I see when I list a home. Yes, I'm sure you can see a lot as a realtor. Absolutely, Suzette. That's exactly right. All right, well, the last thing I want to talk about why we need to declutter is because you can't organize clutter, okay? I know a lot of people think that if they go buy some bins at the Home Depot or at Walmart and they put all their stuff in a nice, neat bin and they label it, then they've organized their clutter. And the truth is, I read this last week and I thought it was just brilliant, but organized clutter is still clutter. It is. I'm sorry to break the news to you, but organized clutter is still clutter. We can't coexist with order and chaos. Just can't coexist. They just can't. And so you have to, in order to have order, you have to get rid of the chaos. You have to get rid of the clutter. So even if you try to organize it in a bin, it's still not going to work out. You have to get rid of it. So why are we not getting rid of it, right? Why are we not getting rid of it? Well, there are a few reasons why. And I've discovered this just by working with people in my own journey to declutter my life and live with less. And one of the things I've discovered, that reasons why people don't declutter, the first one is guilt. Okay, have you ever felt guilty of getting rid of something that maybe your mom gave you or your best friend gave you? And you're like, oh, if I get rid of this, I'll feel terrible because it was from a special person. And I know that feeling. I have some stuff of my mom who passed away several years ago, and I'm like, I can't get rid of it. It was my mom, so I feel bad. She's not even here, but I still feel bad. So, we have this feeling, but I want to tell you, I know that if I gave my children or my husband a gift that they really didn't want or need or use any longer, and they were holding on to it because they felt like I wanted them to, I would feel terrible because I wouldn't want them to be burdened. I gave them the gift out of love, out of joy. And I would not want them to be burdened or upset or carrying a weight they shouldn't be simply because of my feelings. The gift is theirs now. They can do whatever they want with it. So don't let guilt be a factor in why you don't declutter, because it for a lot of people, it really is. Now, the second reason we don't declutter is what I call I might need it someday syndrome. Now, is anybody guilty of that one? Yeah, I might need it someday. I might have a rainy day, or I may use it. I haven't used it in 5 years, but I'm pretty sure I may use it again someday, so I'm going to hold on to it. Okay, I call it I can't get rid of it syndrome, because we think that we're going to use it, need it, or have a need for it later on, and we get afraid. We're afraid that we'll miss out later, or we'll have to spend more money later, and that's just really not a reason to hold on to something, okay? It's not. So even though you might have to go buy it again, what if it was 10 years? So we play the what if game. What if I need it again? Well, what if you don't? What if you don't? Your biggest excuse is that, yes, don't worry, I promise you, you're not alone. I promise you, you're not alone. But we do, that we create these excuses, and we need to move beyond them. So even if you find yourself saying, I might need it someday, ask yourself, do I really need it? Because odds are you probably don't. Okay, another reason we hold on to things are for emotional or sentimental reasons. I'm thinking things like high school yearbooks, the first dress you wore on the date with your husband, the letter jacket you got, those kind of things that we hold on to for emotional or sentimental reasons. And I think part of the reason we hold on to those is because we're afraid that if we let go of that memento of our past that brought us so much emotion and so much sentiment, that we're going to lose that memory. But if I were to take that yearbook out of your hands and I were to push it off to the side and you didn't see it for 6 months, have I taken away any of your high school memories? No, I haven't. We fear that we'll lose the memory if we get rid of the item, but the item is just symbolic. The memories and the emotions that we have really can't be taken away from us. So, like taking a picture now instead of saving. Exactly, Suzette. Yeah, just take a picture of something and store it. Exactly. That's what I tell people all the time. If you have something that is so sentimental, take a picture of it and use it, because that takes up less space. It allows you to still see the object. It allows you to reminisce with the memory, but it keeps you from holding on to the clutter. So I want to encourage you not to let that happen to you. All right, cost is another reason why we don't declutter. Cost. Now, I know that we pay a lot of money for our shoes and our purses, our clothes, our toys and our gadgets, and we think, oh, I can't get rid of it because I paid a lot of money for it. But just like anything in life, just like when you take a brand new car off the lot, it decreases in value. Now, there are some things that aren't going to decrease in value. They do maintain their value, but most of the stuff that we are holding on to that we would consider clutter, it's not really, valuable anymore. And so we think, well, I'm going to hold on to it because I can, sell it for a good price, or I paid a lot of money, so I don't want to lose that, or, it become a collector's item that I can gain money from. But I can promise you there are a lot of Beanie Babies on eBay that are not making anybody any money. So let go of it, okay? I want to encourage you. Don't let cost be a hurdle. Donate it, like Suzette is saying, donate it to charity and let others enjoy and you get a tax write-off for it too. So you can recoup some of your money that way. But, don't let cost be an obstacle to having the life you want. And then finally, saving it for someone else. I know that a lot of people say, well, I'm going to save it for the next kid to use, or I'm going to save it for when my kids are older, or when my kids get married, they'll have it. And that's great. We all want to save it for the people down the line. We want a legacy to be remembered of us when we're gone. But the truth is, if we're honest with ourselves and honest with the people we're saving it for, they probably don't want it. Now, there are probably some keepsakes like jewelry or Bibles that, they would cherish all the time. I totally understand those things. But, a trinket or a figurine or something like that we're saving, odds are they won't. And I will tell you from personal experience that happened to me. My dad had saved this table for me and my brother, and neither one of us wanted it. And he kept holding on to it, sure that we were going to want it someday. The funny thing was, we already had our own homes. We already had our own dining tables. And he just kept on. Finally, we had to say, Dad, we don't want it. Just sell it, get rid of it, do whatever you want, but don't hold on to it because of us, because we've moved on. So I know we think that our kids are going to want it, but odds are the people we're holding on to don't. So don't hold on to things for other people thinking that they'll want it and rob yourself of the joy of your present surroundings right now, okay? Because the truth is, clutter is a thief, okay? It robs us financially, it robs us emotionally, physically, and it can, wreak havoc on our relationships. I mean, how many of you suffer from the can't have anyone over syndrome? Okay, how many of you can't have anyone over because you're so embarrassed or you're so afraid of the clutter that has taken over your house? Okay, that is robbing us of relationships that we can invite people over and enjoy their company, but we don't because of the clutter and the chaos. So don't let clutter rob you any longer, okay? Don't let it take that away from you. Now, there are two main truths that I want you to remember about the clutter and why we need to let it go. And the first one is this. Honestly, there is a time to hold on, and there's a time to gather, and there's a time to let go. Okay? There's a time to let go. Just like we have different seasons of life. We have our youth, and we have our early adulthood, and then we have our married life, and then we have our parenting life, and then we have our empty nester life, which I'm loving, and then we have our older life. We have seasons of life, and in every season of life, different things happen to us, and we go through different stages of life. The things that we own, the same way. There's a season for them to be in our lives, okay? There may be a reason why you need it as a young adult, but not anymore as an empty nester. Or maybe you need it as a new parent, but not as somebody older. So there are times and seasons of life, whether it's your stage of age or the item that you're holding on to. But you need to know, you know what? This was good for me for a season, and now it's the season for me to let it go. Okay? So that's the first principle I want you to remember. There's a time to gather and there's a time to let go. And then second, we can't make room for tomorrow's treasures if we are so busy holding on to yesterday's junk. Okay? Think of it this way. I mean, if you're holding out your hand, okay, and you're wanting to bring in more treasures and more wonderful things into your life and home, There's no way that you can grasp that if you are so busy holding on to yesterday's junk. You just can't. So what you have to do is you have to release the junk from the past. I'm not saying all your stuff from the past is junk. Everybody sees clutter differently. Don't get me wrong. Don't get upset. I'm not saying these things. But what I'm saying to you is this. Don't hold on to that that's not worth your time and your effort and your energy, because it's keeping you from the goodness that's still yet to come. And I love that. And I want that for you, and I want that for me. And I hope that you will see what your clutter is keeping you from. So don't hold on so tightly that you can't receive the good that's coming your way. All right, so how can we declutter, right? We've talked about what it's costing us, why we need to, why we don't. And some of you will tell me, okay, I've decluttered and it's not working, okay? Well, I get it. It's hard to declutter. If it were easy, everybody would be doing it, right? Absolutely. But we're not. So we need to ask ourselves, why are we not decluttering? What's going wrong for us? And I think the first problem is that we're not asking the right questions. Now, how many of you, when you start decluttering, you take something, let's just say a book, okay? Let's say you've got this book and you look at it and you're like, do I like this book? Yeah, it was a good book. I liked it. Okay, well then I think I'll keep it. Okay, well we're asking emotional questions, okay? Did I like it? Yeah, I did. Did I enjoy reading it? Yes, I did. Those are all based on our emotions, and those are great questions to ask. But the truth is, those are the wrong questions to ask, because we need to be asking the hard and practical questions, and that's where we stumble. So people always ask, you know, well, how is it I can get rid of stuff when you're with me, Leanna, but I can't get rid of stuff when I'm by myself? And it's because I know which questions to ask, and sometimes you're not asking the right questions. So that's the first thing we need to remember when we're wanting to declutter, is ask the right questions. So what are some of the right questions? The hard, the practical questions. Well, when was the last time I used it? Okay, when was the last time I used it? If I haven't used it in blank amount of time, then I need to let it go. That time frame is up to you, but you know, make it practical. I haven't used it in a year. I haven't used it in 6 months. I haven't used it in 2 years. Then you can make better decisions based on your answer. Another question you might want to ask yourself is, does it still work? Does it still fit? Does it, those are more practical questions, because if it doesn't work, why are we holding on to it? If it doesn't fit, why do we keep it? But, we have to ask ourselves the really hard questions. Could I capture it in another form? Like Suzette said, could I capture it? Could I take a picture of it? Could I cut, a piece of it off and just hold on to a little piece of it rather than trying to hold on to the huge quilt? Did I even know I had it is another one that you might want to consider asking. A lot of times when I'm helping people declutter, they're like, oh, wow, I didn't even know I had that anymore. I mean, is anybody else saying that when they find things in the cabinets where they're all hiding? Yes, I do. I didn't know I had that. If we don't even know we had it, how can we possibly miss it? Okay? So ask yourself some really, difficult questions. And I wrote a blog post, and if you go onto my website, bygeorgeorganizing.com, and you type in decluttering into the search bar, it's going to pull up some blog posts, and you can get access to these questions, these 13 questions that will help you ask the practical and hard questions that you need to be asking that really will help you get rid of your stuff beyond just, do I like it? And honestly, if you just like it, odds are you really aren't using it that much. I always say you need to love it. Now, Marie Kondo, in her acclaimed book, asked people, does it spark joy? Either way, do you love it? Does it spark joy? The question is, how much do you really favor it, value it? Because if you have just a shirt that you like next to a shirt you love, which shirt are you always going to go for? The shirt you love, right? So that's the one you're going to pick time and time again. So ask yourself, do I love it? I always used to tell my girls when they were picking out clothes, when they were trying them on, do you love it? And they would say, not really. I said, okay, then we're not buying it. And they would get upset, but they knew I was right, because I knew that they were not going to wear that. They were going to go pick the thing they loved. So make sure you're asking yourself the right questions, not the emotional, easy ones, but the hard, practical ones. The second reason you're not getting your decluttering efforts to work for you is because you're doing it alone. Okay? You're doing it alone. So I always encourage you to have a friend. If you want to hire somebody as a professional organizer, you can do that too. If you have a friend that will be honest and tell you, yes, you don't look all that great in that outfit. Okay? You need to let it go. Somebody who will be totally honest with you, that is who you want to come over and help you. Not the friend that will say, why are you getting rid of that? That's so pretty. That's not helping, okay? You want somebody that's going to be gentle but honest. But the problem is we usually do it alone. We usually say, I'm just going to declutter by myself. And when there's nobody around to hold you accountable, then it's easy to let the things that you probably would let go if somebody were asking you, that you keep. Okay, so I always find that it's better to have somebody with you when you're doing it, because one, it makes it more fun. Turn up some music, have a party, make it fun, because that's going to make the job less stressful. But then it also keeps you accountable, and it helps you to have somebody there that will ask the questions you don't want to ask. All right, and then finally, another reason why is our excuses. We are allowing our excuses to become our reality. So if, like Suzette said, we use the I might need it again someday excuse. We use that as an excuse. Well, we allow that excuse to become our reality. We fear that, something could happen, we would need it again. So we hold on to it because we think that's how life is going to be, that somewhere down the line, we're going to need it again. And so what happens? Well, we hold on to it, and then we start acting out of our thoughts. So we can't allow our excuses, whatever they may be, guilt, sentimentality, cost, might need it again someday, might use it again someday, whatever excuse. And trust me, I've heard everything under the sun for an excuse of why we hold on to our clutter. But we need to quit allowing those to become our reality, because they probably aren't real to us, but we just fear it, and we allow fear to, mess with our minds, and then we act from what we think. So don't let that happen to you. Okay? So I know I'm covering a lot of stuff, but I want to just put it all out there for you guys today. We're just going to talk about the decluttering in each and every aspect. So last thing I want to talk to you about, so you can go get to the decluttering. So what are some of the tools you need to declutter? And I'm happy if you have any comments to put them in there down below and ask me some, if you need a specific question about decluttering, happy to answer them. But I want to talk lastly about the tools you need to get the job done, to declutter properly. Well, the first thing that you need is a willingness to do it. Okay, if you don't want to do it, it's not going to get done. You have to be willing. You have to be in the right state of mind. If you're not, that's okay. Don't beat yourself up. But once you're ready, once you're willing to do it, the task will be so much better. It will be less stress, less like a feeling of, oh, I've got to do this. No, it will be so much better, and it will work to your benefit, and you'll see better results. So have a willingness. And if you don't feel like you're ready, don't push yourself, okay? Don't push yourself. You need to have the right motivation. A lot of people skip this when they're decluttering because they think, well, isn't decluttering just tossing the things I don't want? It is. You're absolutely right. But it's also working towards the goal of what you want. And what is your motivation for decluttering? Be very clear about that. Maybe you even need to get a picture, and you can see in the background right there, you see my little vision board. That's my motivation for everything I do. Thank you for sharing, guys. But if you don't have a vision or a goal of what you want to accomplish or what it is you want to get out of this decluttering, then it's not going to work, because when it gets hard, you'll be tempted to quit. So don't go without a motivation to keep you going. Okay, if you have a picture of an office space, say you're decluttering your office, and you know what you want your office to look like once all the clutter's gone, I want to encourage you, print it out, put it up on the wall, and as you're working in your office and getting rid of the books and the papers that you don't need anymore, and you're thinking, I just can't keep doing this. I am so tired. I don't feel like I'm making a dent, because remember, like I told you a few videos ago, it gets worse before it gets better. When you have that motivation hung up on the wall,
then you can look at that and go, that's what I'm working for. That's what's going to get me going. And that will make the difference, and it'll keep you going. It'll keep you motivated to going. So I'm going to encourage you, whether you write out a goal, whether you take a picture, whether you say, I want to have more time with my family, I'm going to declutter and get things in order. Whatever it is, don't start decluttering without the right motivation. All right, this one's going to come up, but time. It takes time to declutter, okay? Because you have to look at things and you have to make decisions. And sometimes if you're looking at really sentimental things, you may want to start walking down memory lane. So make sure you have time. You're not going to find it, remember, but you got to make it. So understand that it takes time, but it doesn't have to take a lot. Maybe you just work in 15 to 30 minute increments. I have this sweet, wonderful friend, Jane, who is going through her papers in her office. And she says to me, I just do it in 15-minute time frames. And that's awesome. And I am so excited for her because you know what? I can see the joy in her demeanor just by the little work that she's doing. It's not much, but it's making a difference. And it can do the same for you. So just make sure you make the time for it. All right. Bins, baskets, and boxes. Those are the next tools you need to declutter. Now, like I said, I wrote a blog post on this, and it was funny how many people in the comment section told me, yeah, one of the reasons I don't declutter is because I don't have anywhere to put it while I'm decluttering. And it's true. If you don't have something to contain the items you want to donate, the items you want to trash, the items that belong somewhere else, then what happens is, hire me. You're sweet, Suzette. But the problem is they don't have the containers to hold those items, and so it just becomes more mess, and then it becomes overwhelming, and then we shut down. So even if you have to use a laundry basket, a trash bag, a moving box, don't feel like you have to go out and get something fancy to declutter, because you don't. Usually it's better to just look around your house and see what you have. I love just using somebody's plastic bins. If they've got an empty plastic bin, which I promise you they do because they've been trying to get organized and they bought them, they've got them laying around because it didn't work. And so use those to help you declutter and have a place to put those items where you need to put them once you figure out what you're going to do with them. But don't feel like you have to do them. And then here's the next thing you need to think about. Have some kind of sign, some kind of piece of paper, and I've got some that I'm happy to share with you, but just says stuff I'm keeping, stuff I'm donating, stuff that goes somewhere else, stuff that needs to be shredded. Have a sign so if somebody else is working with you, they'll know where to put the different items, okay? If they say, hey, what are you doing with it? I don't want it, I'm gonna donate it. Then they know exactly which pile to put it in, and there's no guessing of where does this go, okay? It makes you be a little bit more productive. It also helps that if this is a process that you're doing over several days, then you know where to go and how to pick up when you're done. And you won't have to wonder, was that the pickup pile or the trash pile? Or the donate pile and the trash pile? There's no confusion. The signs make it very clear. They don't have to be fancy. Just make them really simple. But I'm happy to share some with you if you need some. And then these are just optional, but they can make a big difference. Snacks, friends, and music, okay? Those are some wonderful tools to help you declutter. Snacks, friends, music, okay? Let It Go, I'm thinking, is a really good song you want to have on your playlist several times. Shake It Off. Another one that you might want to do, if you've got a song that really inspires you to let go, I'd love for you to leave it in the comments and let me know. We can make a playlist and share it with everybody. But snacks, don't forget snacks, plenty of water, take breaks. Don't feel like this has to be this marathon session that you try to do. Just take breaks, re-energize yourself, hydrate yourself, and then if you can find some friends to help you, it makes it all the better. All right, I've covered a lot of stuff. I know. But more than anything, I just want you to remember that clutter is really not your friend, okay? It's a thief. It's a thief who robs you of your home, who robs you of your relationships, who robs you of your peace of mind. And we have the ability to control the situation, okay? You can have control over your clutter. It does not have to overtake you or overwhelm you. If you can remember what it is that you really want, if you can remember and realize the excuses that you're making. And if you can find ways to overcome the obstacles that stand in your way, get the right tools, you can have a clutter-free life. Will it be easy? No. Remember, we don't talk about easy because easy is not, it's not. For some people, it's very difficult. And, you know, that's why I do these videos. That's why I write the blog posts. That's why I share every week in my newsletters, because I know it's not easy. For some people, have a natural ability and bent to it, but for most, it's not. And so I know it's not. So don't think it's not going to be a walk in the park, because it won't. It'll be hard, but will it be worth it? Absolutely. So I want you to have a clutter-free life as best as you can. And I hope that today's tips and today's insights have been helpful to you. I hope that they've maybe helped you awaken to some things you hadn't seen before or realized before. And I also hope that it gave you some tools. Don't forget, if there's anything that you want that I can help you with, let me know. I'm going to put a few links in the comment section to some of the blog posts that I mentioned, that you can go on there and get your questions to help you, declutter. Also, you can check out the tools. I have a decluttering challenge I'd love for you to partake in. If that's something you need help with, I'm glad to help you with that as well. But thanks for coming and joining me today. I have loved being here with you. I know I've talked a lot, but leave me some comments. Let me know. Visit my website at bygeorgeorganizing.com. And if you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I've loved being here with you today. Hopefully we'll be back again really soon, sharing some more tips to bring you an organized lifestyle. All right, have a great week, you guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye.